The clinic's fluorescent lights hummed their final judgment as Alara Wynn packed her belongings into a worn cardboard box. 23 years of service, countless lives saved, and it all came down to a budget cut and a younger replacement willing to work for half her salary. Her supervisor had offered the standard corporate sympathy, tight budget, difficult decisions, nothing personal, before escorting her out. Ilara drove home in silence, her knuckles white against the steering wheel. The galaxy had opened up 50 years ago when the Galactic Collective made first contact, promising prosperity and unity. Earth had joined eagerly, and humanity had scattered among the stars. But prosperity, Alara had learned, was unevenly distributed. Her small town had seen more closures than opportunities. The next morning, she woke without an alarm for the first time in decades. The emptiness felt wrong. She made coffee, stared at job listings on her tablet, and felt the weight of obsolescence settling on her shoulders. By noon, she couldn't stand the silence anymore and decided to walk the forest trails behind her property. The screams shattered the afternoon quiet. It wasn't human. Too deep, too resonant, carrying harmonics that made her teeth ache. Ilara's nursing instincts overrode her common sense, and she ran toward the sound. She crashed through undergrowth, following the anguished cries until she emerged into a clearing scarred by what looked like a crash landing. The creature was magnificent and terrifying. Easily 40 feet long, covered in scales that shimmered between crimson and gold, with wings that looked like they belonged in ancient mythology. A dragon, one of the Drakkar, the proud warrior race that served as the collective's elite guardians. And it was dying. A massive wound gaped in its side where something had torn through scales and muscle. Purple blood pooled beneath it, and its breathing came in shallow, rattling gasps. One golden eye fixed on Alara, widening in what might have been surprise or fear. "Easy," Alara whispered, approaching slowly. "I'm a nurse. Let me help." The dragon, Cyrath she would learn later, tried to speak, but only managed a weak rumble. Its head collapsed back to the ground. Ilara assessed the wound with clinical efficiency, massive trauma, severe blood loss, and she had no equipment except the emergency kit in her car. It should have been impossible. The anatomy was alien, the scale of the injury beyond anything she'd treated. But Alara had spent 23 years learning that life was life, and every creature fought to keep it. She ran back to her house, grabbed her old medical bag, the one she'd kept from her early days doing house calls, and returned. For the next 6 hours, Ilara worked with steady hands and stubborn determination. She cleaned the wound with antiseptics meant for humans, but universal enough in principle. She sutured with thread meant for much smaller patients, making dozens of stitches where 3 would have sufficed for human skin. She used her entire supply of coagulants and antibiotics, hoping the biochemistry was compatible enough. The dragon remained unconscious through it all, its massive chest rising and falling in a rhythm that gradually steadied. When darkness fell, Ilara built a fire and settled in to monitor her patient. She'd done all she could. Now it was up to Sarath's own strength and whatever gods dragons prayed to. She woke to golden eyes watching her. "You saved my life," Sarath rumbled, his voice like thunder over distant mountains. "A human, an unaugmented, baseline human." "I'm a nurse," Alara replied, checking his wound. The swelling had decreased. "Good sign. It's what I do, or did anyway." "Why did you not call your authorities? I am Cyrath of the First Wing, guardian of the collective. There would have been substantial reward." Ilara shrugged. "You needed help. Everything else seemed less important." Something shifted in Sarath's expression. Surprise, respect, or perhaps something dragons had no word for. "I was ambushed by Krell raiders. My ship was destroyed. They left me to die on this backwater world, thinking no one would find me in time." He paused. "They did not account for you." Over the next 3 days, Alara tended to Cyrath's recovery. They talked about her lost job, about his battles across the galaxy, about the strange turns life takes. Cyrath was fascinated by her medical knowledge, by the fact that she had saved him with primitive tools and sheer determination. "Your species is remarkable," he said on the 3rd day. "The collective sees humans as laborers and clerks. They underestimate you." "Story of my life," Alara replied wryly. On the fourth morning, Cyrith could stand. He tested his wings carefully, wincing but functional. I must return to my people, but first I must honor the life debt. You don't owe me anything, Ilara protested. I owe you everything, Cyrith corrected, and the Drakkar always pay their debts. He lifted a communicator she hadn't noticed before and spoke in his own language, a series of harmonics that made the air vibrate. Then he turned to her. It is done. What's done? Cyrith's laugh was like rolling thunder. You will see. The ships arrived at dawn the next day. 4 luxury vessels, each the size of a city block, descended with impossible grace to hover above Ilara's modest property. Their hulls gleamed with the symbols of the Drakkar First Wing, the most elite military unit in the collective. Cyrith stood beside her, fully healed now, his scales brilliant in the morning light. Ilara Wynn, the Drakkar do not forget. You are hereby appointed as my personal physician and honored as a friend of the First Wing. These ships carry gifts, wealth, medical technology centuries beyond Earth's current level, and a position in my fleet if you choose to accept it. Ilara stared at the ships, at the gathered crowd from town watching in amazement, at the dragon who had crash-landed in her forest. I just wanted to help, she whispered. And that, Cyrith said gently, is why you are worthy of honor. The collective has a saying, the measure of a being is what they do when no reward is offered. You passed a test you didn't know you were taking. Ilara looked at her small house, at the town that had watched her become obsolete, and then at the galaxy opening before her. She smiled. Well then, she said, I suppose I should pack more than a cardboard box this time. Cyrith's laughter echoed across the valley, and somewhere in the collective's vast bureaucracy, a notation was made. Humans were more than they seemed. It was a lesson the galaxy would learn slowly, one saved life at a time.